I always knew that I had a connection and felt comfortable in climbing gyms, running competitions and working routes and just interacting with climbers. I always felt like that was a strong point for me, was that I was able to connect there because of something I was so passionate about. When I started climbing in about 1992, just being around other climbers that had been immersed in climbing and kind of had the means to show you the way and introduce you to other areas was everything, because you really had to have somebody like that in order to get into climbing. Because Oklahoma had such limited access to climb outside or even inside, we just built stuff. You know, whatever, if we didn't have something that we could train on, we made it.
We've had climbing gyms that we've built in our backyard, in our garage, in our friends' garages, in our friends' grandmother's garages.
Attics, in back rooms, in closets, in basements, outdoors, like on the sides of houses. We even built a climbing gym once in a laundry room of a guy's house, because that's the only area we had, was the laundry room. We were as fascinated and drawn to creating things for climbing as we were with climbing.
I'd been climbing a couple times through college, but I didn't really know anyone in that world. And when I first met Aaron, he was an accomplished climber, and so the natural thing was like he wanted to take me climbing. And so I fell in love with it. We spent a lot of time together, climbing together, and traveled for 3 months after we got married, and just lived out of our car and camped and climbed. And he wants to share climbing with others, and you know, it means a lot to him, and it's part of like what I love about him.
I feel like I had poor style last time. Maybe I should do where my feet cut loose more. I felt like if an opportunity was to present itself where I'd have a chance to go into a climbing gym business, I would love to do that. Lisa and I were approached with an opportunity to purchase what was then OKC Rocks. It was a grain silo. You know, it held grain. It was not ever intended for humans to be inside of, nor was it ever intended to be climbed on. Yeah. But the original concept that, you know, that Freddie Harth had of cutting into these silos and basically hand digging all of the grain out of it and cleaning the walls, and the amount of work that he put into that place to get it to even a shell of, you know, being climbable is amazing.
Yesterday I got the first full complete room, it looks like, in the silos, and here we're walking into it. And it's a base certification room, and boy, it turned out nice. It took a year and 3 months to get to until I did anything climbing related in the facility. Aaron came maybe a year into it. He walked in one day, and I was sitting there, and he introduced himself, and he was very young and couldn't wait to walk around the place. And I showed him around, and I had people coming by at that point interested in seeing what I was doing and had heard about it through the grapevine. But Aaron kept coming back and offering help, and he was a gift to me right off the bat.
The moment I first visited that place and met Freddie, I was immediately hooked on this enormous project. I've always been completely blown away and highly respectful of his efforts in being able to turn that place into something that was a destination.
This is Steve Gillen's first route that he put up, the top anchors. And that one was Aaron Gibson's first one. Built that last night. Me and Aaron and Adam, I built it, and they put the holds on it and helped me get the plywood on. He may not have known it, but I knew it for many years that in my mind he was the best owner for the gym. And that's what I told him the day I called him. I said, I want you to buy the gym. I don't think he believed me initially, but when he called me back, he was firm. And he said, you know, I think I'm ready to talk to you about it.
You know, it seemed like an enormous gamble to be going in this new direction. And I remember sending an email to all my colleagues at my job at that time and saying, you know, I wasn't going to be there anymore, and I really appreciated working with them, and I really liked the job that I had, but I felt like this was the way I really wanted to go. And I was really overwhelmed by the response I got from people who had been at that job for 10, 20 years, and they just said, it's amazing that you're doing that, and I've always wanted to do this, and they'd tell me what they wanted to do. That was actually really inspiring to feel like, okay, well, I'm actually doing something that I feel this strongly about. Maybe this is the right decision. We had a lot of people just kind of question initially, like whether what we were going to do was going to be okay or not. But they quickly turned around when they saw that we were investing in the gym. We were adding new flooring, we were putting in new walls, we were adding routes. We were doing all these things to make it a better place, make it a cleaner place, more inviting place.
It was a huge time commitment. Endless hours, and even when we weren't there, we were always thinking about the next phase and the next step and how we could make it better and what we could do to further the climbing community.
I very rarely thought about day in and day out what I was doing. I looked more at what we were achieving in the way of projects, in the way of feedback from people that came and enjoyed what they were finding there.
We made a lot of mistakes, but we also had a lot of huge successes. And we had the support of a really great community around us that wanted us to be successful.
We had this idea for making Rocktown a gym that could present itself on a national stage in terms of the quality of the building and the climbing. It rose to that in a lot of respects. You know, we started getting national press for certain things. We were able to generate a real buzz around what we were doing, and we felt like we were on a really positive, decent track. Rocktown was so important to us because it was really our first experience in terms of operating a climbing gym. So we went through the highs and lows of pretty much everything you can experience in a new business, and particularly in the climbing gym business.
There was a change in leadership in our partners, and their vision for the future did not align with our vision for the future.
Sometimes partnerships don't work how you think they're going to work. Things, in business can get complicated, and sometimes the best thing to do is separate. I'd always had a dream to open a climbing gym in Norman. Ever since I started climbing, I thought it would be really cool to have a climbing gym in my hometown. We didn't have a name for it yet, but we just knew conceptually like kind of what we wanted to do. We really started creating this vision and thinking about what this place could become. If we were going to continue on our goal of advancing climbing in Oklahoma, of pursuing what we thought we wanted to be this world-class experience and open up climbing to people in other ways, that we were going to have to do that on our own. What you see at Climb Up is based on not just like a quick sketch drawing on a piece of paper. This is really years of experience and myself traveling to other states and going to climbing gyms and being interested in what other climbing gyms look like across the country.
You know, our goal is just to introduce climbing to people, and some people like it and some people don't, and that's okay. But, if it's something that strikes your interest, you're in a place where people love this and want to share it with you.
I've had kids that know nothing about climbing and maybe even be a little disinterested, and then they get to the top of their first route and just be ecstatic. You see that they have to do this.
I've been to a bunch of different gyms, like on trips I've taken. You just never get the feel at those gyms that you get here, just with the customers we have and, just the atmosphere that it provides.
It's
creating a community. So starting at the beginning, you get to be part of shaping that climbing community for Oklahoma.
Last August, my wife suffered a hemorrhagic stroke in her midbrain, and this place has been a refuge for my daughters and myself. To get them up on the wall and walk them through problems in a small sense has certainly, I would say, helped at home as well, as we talk about what we have faced as a family, what we are facing.
This is the new creative process with what we've created at Climb Up, and we have what's become an extension of our original vision. And so for us, this is a new way forward. We're already thinking 5 years ahead. We stay motivated by seeing what's around the next turn, and it's an exploration in and of itself, really, kind of like climbing is.